Welcome to this week's edition of Perspective, and today we're discussing the role of the church, and especially when it comes, or the role of religion when it comes to politics, and especially here in Kenya. And to drive that discussion, I'm joined by two, a lady and a gentleman, two formidable, call you a tag team.
Yes.
We have Madam Bishop Elizabeth Dhuya, who is the founder, House of Clergy Association.
Yes.
And on my extreme left, we have Job Ndege, who is a leadership and governance expert. Karibu sana, Bwana Job.
Asante sana, Ben.
And perhaps to start us off,
Yes.
You are the founder of House of Clergy Association. Kindly shed light on that.
House of Clergy Association, it's an umbrella body that tackles the problem that are affecting the clergy. It's a burden that God put in my heart regarding the issues that on a daily basis affect the clergy as in whole, and that's how I came up with the organization and registered. It's a registered body. It's an association that tackles the problems and at the same time look out for opportunities that can be able to help us to empower the clergy. Some of them, they normally go through a lot of problems physically, and I realized actually most of the organizations that we have not been able to look out onto the issues that are affecting the clergy specifically, because you'll find that they have the calling of God upon their life, but when it comes to physical empowerment, they are left out. So
more or less their lives outside the pulpit, right?
Exactly, the life outside the pulpit. Yes.
Thank you. Now, because of time, let's go straight into the role of the church in politics, and especially here in Kenya. You've seen politicians in churches, and always you might even find somebody sleeping, but when the church is over, the politician is given an opportunity to address the congregation, and we know very well that politics are always on their lips.
Yes, the church has a very important place in society. When I mean the church plus the mosque plus all those. The church will give us the moral compass of how we as a society needs to navigate our issues, daily issues. Other than the spiritual nourishment that is the core, the church needs to talk to its flock on how they need to live on a day-to-day basis. So all these basic needs that a human being requires, be it food, shelter, and such, the church in integral part should be able to actually assist people do that. Now, when you talk of church and politics and the aspect of the politicians going to church to talk, one is the politicians are lazy. Politicians are required to organize a crowd to be able to disseminate their politics or whichever other policies that they have to talk about. But you're still a situation where our politicians become so lazy that they cannot actually get their own crowd. They rather look for a crowd that has been set already. And the church becomes one such areas where a crowd already exists. So you go to a church on Saturday or a church on Sunday, you find multitudes of people, and that's good for the politician. So that's really what draws the politicians to churches, rather than anything else.
Madam Bishop,
Yes.
what would you say is the role of the church, especially in Kenyan politics?
As you look onto the Word of God, allow me to go back to the Bible.
Of course.
You'll find that in the Old Testament, the kings who ruled those days, they would go to ask direction from the church. But I see a big miss in our church today, whereby you find that I don't know what's really is happening, whether it's us or our fathers who have sold off our birthright, whereby we've given the politician a platform whereby they take, is it advantage of the church, of the platform or the altar? They've taken it like it's their own, whereby you find that the church generally is lacking a voice. And as I know the Word of God that tells us that the spiritual has more power than the physical. So the church is the one that is supposed to give direction and directing even the politicians. But you find that it's gone vice versa. Whereby you find that politicians, because of being given much more mandate or been given the platform of the church, whereby they go and they kind of like there's an exchange, because the Word of God tells us there's always giving and receiving, and you find, as I have indicated, that there's a problem with the spiritual part of it, of the clergy, whereby you find they're not empowered physically. So when they're given, they're dashed out gifts. So they end up compromising or giving more kind of like appreciating, or you find that the politicians are taking advantage of their physical infirmities, let me call them physical infirmities, so making it look like now when it comes to the church empowerment, you find like the politicians are taking more advantage because they have the money and the church has the spirit. So, and when now they come to, they're given the platform, or they're given the altar, you find that there's, I've been telling a clergy friend that I've seen something wrong in the church, whereby I'm pleading with God that there'll be a wealth transfer, whereby we are not going to rely on the politicians to come and give gifts to us as the church, because that is where the church has exactly missed, or that's where the church has missed, and there's an exchange of our birthright as the clergy, because it starts from the clergy before we come to the sheepfold.
Okay. We have to acknowledge that the religion, and especially in Kenya, and religious leaders, some were very instrumental, and especially in the scrapping of Section 2A during the Moi era. We've seen people like Reverend Joya. We saw there were some very vocal, actually, spiritual leaders back then. Can you talk about the clergy being as effective as it used to be when it comes to leadership and governance in Kenya?
No, they are not as effective as they used to be. In fact, you rightly say, when Kenya were clamoring for what they were called the second liberation, the voice of the voiceless were the church. Bishop Okulu, Bishop Gitari, Reverend Njoya, Muge, and the rest. Unfortunately, the moment we got that liberation, when we got multipartism, several things happened. One was that people thought that we had reached. Secondly, is that the church, some of the players in the church actually got assimilated into the system. Yes, and when you're in the system, it becomes difficult for you to start again poking holes into it. And then thirdly, at some point, we became a tribal nation. And whereas the church is supposed to be the church, which has no tribe, it's blind, it can accommodate everybody. The church actually became also split along tribal lines. So if a clergy is from tribe X, then most likely they will actually ascribe to the political policy of whoever is tribe X is leading a party. So progressively, during the Kibaki era, you found that they started quieting. Great voices like Reverend Mutavu Musim, for instance, became an MP. Then it becomes difficult because he became now a PNU MP. So here you are this very good person that we had, who was speaking for all of us. Now you have to speak for PNU. So that compromises you a bit, no matter how neutral you want to appear. Then as we move now from President Kibaki's time to President Uhuru's time, when the ICC issue came about, the president and the deputy turned to God to try to get them off on ICC. And when they did that, they organized a lot of these, what they were calling the prayer rallies. Again, now the newer churches, I'll call them Pentecostal churches, took over. And they were actually the ones who were moving around with President Uhuru and the Deputy President Ruto in all these rallies. So again, at that time it was the mainstream churches, Catholic, Anglican, the NCK, President Kibaki's time, and Moi. Now we move to the Pentecostals. Now they got assimilated into the system as well. Now this is a leadership that you helped brought, and you could see how they were praying about the success of the president, both in ICC and his election. Even the party became known as Jubilee. Jubilee is a Christian term, actually. The party became known as Jubilee, or that coalition. So the church got in. So they were actually part of this government. Now it became difficult for them to start again trying to actually criticize them.
Yes. And Madam Bishop, do you believe the clergy is as effective as it used to be, just as Joba said?
No, something is amiss. something is totally actually amiss, and we trust in God to raise a remnant that is going actually to have a voice, whereby the church can have a voice like it was those days, or as it was those days whereby the king would come and get advice from the church. I see it actually in West Africa. And I believe that God is going to help us to get to that level whereby the church will have a voice in matters concerning even giving direction to politicians. Because it reaches a point whereby even if you check to the BBI, what has been happening and the crosses they have put on BBI, you find they didn't consult the church per se, and you find the things that are really it's kind of like the crosses that are affecting the church, whereby the government need to address those issues on BBI so that it doesn't affect the church per se. But the reason why you're seeing that, to my perception, is it's because the church has not given us a good, has not set a good example. We don't have the fathers who can speak on behalf of the church. And something is amiss. Something is amiss. We don't have that voice like we used to have.
Yes, and as Madam Bishop has mentioned on BBI, what role can the church or religion in Kenya play right now when we're having this BBI? You do remember that we're having same people talking about how they are supporting the initiative, but kind of they seem to be reading from different scripts.
Yes, because there are various groupings of the church, if you may say so. We have the NCSK, we have the Evangelical Association, we have so and so. And all these groupings don't seem like they speak on one voice, as you are saying, on various issues. The BBI was a product of about 9 issues that the President and the Prime Minister discussed. And all these issues, some of them actually touch on the morals of the society. It's like corruption. Corruption is really how we behave. The church should be able to shape how we behave.
That's true.
Yes, the church should be able to come out and say corruption is bad. I'm happy at least some steps have taken place. The Archbishop of the Anglican Church, Archbishop Sapit, has come out very strongly and said the Anglican churches, they don't support Harambes by politicians. They are not allowed to come there and give those big donations. The Catholic bishops, they had a very good conference sometime last year, and they have a roadmap which by about June, July this year, again there'll be no direct cash giving. They have moved well. What I'm waiting to see is now the evangelicals. I'm here to hear what their studies on corruption. In fact, there's been a lot of hue and cry about politicians getting access to the pulpit and then giving big donations, which is not really biblical. I can't remember anywhere in the Bible where anybody will go with a big sack to give money. But the evangelicals are still trying to support that that's okay. So if they can also come to the party and say, there is an issue, corruption is a big issue. We are not casting aspersions on any of the persons donating money, but let's do the way Christians do give. You give quietly, you tithe, you give thanksgiving, and you give offerings. There is no Harambes actually mentioned anywhere in the Bible. This is a new concept that's being driven by politics of money. And religion of money.
And Madam, do you think that the church should have a bigger role when it comes to the BBI? Right now, it's in the hands of the public.
We also have a big role, because if you check it, 80% are Christians. So they have a big influence. Another reason why you tend to see politicians going back to church, because we are a bit more organized and we have a voice as well, in spite of what has been happening. So when it comes to BBI matters, we've been having meetings actually with all the umbrella bodies, and there's this one thing that has been happening, division in the church. And that's the reason why it's exactly. But we believe in God, and this time around that we're going to come together united as a voice. EAK actually came and addressed that matter, and also we had all the umbrella bodies at Bishop Margaret Wanjiru's church. We are coming up with the KCPF and the Hesabika, and we've come up with a draft regarding the BBI, the issues that are affecting us directly. Like if I would just speak about one among the crosses.
Just briefly, because of
time. 99C of the cross, it says, protect freedom of religious association and faith for Kenyans from fraud. So they are calling us fraud, ensure that all churches, mosques and temples are temporarily recorded in public register and that their finances are subjected to annual independent audit that is publicly posted where every member of the congregation can see it and submit to the registering authority, which we don't have a problem with doing audit. But let's say, for example, a man of God who's just been called by God and he's living by faith, and others even they preach on matatus, others they don't even have a church, and even if they have a church, they have a membership of 5 people. Who will they give? What kind of audit will they do? What kind of accounts? Anyway, we have addressed all those issues, and we're actually going to present them to the BBI. We had a meeting with BBI, and I'm sure that the government, they are going to amend those issues that are touching us.
Okay. 2-question, Job. We had the likes of Archbishop David Gitari, we have PCA moderator Njoya, who really were very fierce when it came to governance in the country. Do you have the kind of crop of religious leaders right now? Plus, the harambes. Should churches, according to you, should churches accept harambes, according to you? Two questions in one.
So one, do we have church ministers of the caliber of the two? Probably they're there.
Yes.
Or that maybe we are not hearing them. So if you don't hear them, then you may say they're not there. And we need them. We need, you know, when the society is broken, when the society requires direction, and politicians have failed to give that direction, the church should be giving us that moral compass that this is where we need to go. We don't see them. The division, the issue that the bishop has said, the issue of division. We remember when we were looking for the multi-parties as a country, the church decided to come together with civil society, and then they had a convention. Currently, the BBI processes have had churches giving their own opinion. NCSK as a group have done something. The Catholic bishop said something. The evangelicals said something. But I've not seen a coming together of all the churches as one church.
As one,
to say this is what we as a church is our stand. So I think that's one issue. The second is the issue of harambes. Harambes are a problem. In fact, we as a country decided to outlaw harambes. We have a law that actually said when you're a public servant, you're supposed to do harambes. But the churches are leading in flouting that law. The churches always call these public officers and state officers in their churches to donate money, which is actually in flagrant abuse of the law. A public officer, state officer should not be against of one and harambe.
I believe this.
So when you see them doing that every weekend, you wonder what's wrong with our church. Why do you allow these guys to come and break the law?
Madam Bishop, do you think churches should be allowing donations from politicians, or it could be used as something that they can be able now to control the church, because I'm giving you all the money you need, so you also should sing my song?
I'll suggest this, because as I've said, everything is spiritual before actually physical. Corruption, if there's corruption in Kenya, it started actually from the church, when they started accepting these gifts and giving the pulpit to the politicians. So in the issue of money, people contributing money in the church, there's no problem with that. But can it be like West Africa, how I see a president will actually attend a church service, they're not given even a microphone to say hi. You understand what I'm talking about? I see a governor or senators, they come to church. I was in Ghana last year for a conference, but you find that they are not given actually even a microphone to say hi. They sit like any other person.
Funny enough, in Kenya, every politician has to speak.
I can't wait to see that, because that is how they're going to respect the church. If they're going to give, let them give like any other person who is coming to church, but not a show. Okay,
indeed. Thank you so much for making time. We were discussing the role of the church when it comes to politics and governance here in Kenya, and I was speaking to Madam Bishop Elizabeth Dhuya, who is the founder of House of Clergy Association, and Job Ndege, who is a governance and leadership expert. Indeed, thank you so much for at least making time and sharing the insight on that. Well, thank you for watching Perspective. You're taking a short break, but business news is coming up next.